This is my audition tape for the next Quentin Tarantino film.
I'm Rick Dalton. It's my pleasure, Mr. Schwartz.
Call me Marvin. Put it there. That's your son?
No, it's my stunt double, Cliff Booth.
Hey everybody, Lindsay here, and this is my review for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. This is Quentin Tarantino's 9th picture. The basic storyline of the film is a little hard to explain, but it follows Leonardo DiCaprio and Brad Pitt's characters. Leonardo is this aging action star, has come to the zenith of his career and is now starting on a downslope, and he's trying to prevent that. And Brad Pitt is his stuntman slash double slash employee. And it just follows them around in 1969 LA through their adventures. And next door to where Leonardo's character lives is Roman Polanski and Sharon Tate. And they don't have huge roles in the film, but their presence definitely kind of looms over everything that's going on.
I love that stuff, you know, the killing.
A lot of killing.
I really like this film. It's not my favorite Quentin Tarantino film. I don't know if I could pick a favorite. I really like his films a lot, but this one is definitely towards the top of the list. This film is a little different from his previous work in that it doesn't have a basic plot structure, but it's pretty much just him inviting you to come and experience this place in time and hang out with these characters and what they're doing. But mostly it's about this time period, and the actors are just vehicles to showcase that.
It's official, old buddy. Well, it has been.
The acting was very well done. It's shot beautifully. They turned the streets of LA back into 1969, and it's pretty flawless. And you see all the old LA hotspots with the neon signs, the different restaurants, the different theaters, the different hangout spots. Right before this film was released, there was a little bit of a to-do about Margot Robbie's role in this film. A few people were complaining that she didn't have a big enough role, she didn't have enough lines, that she's this great actress, why didn't she have a bigger part with more lines? But ultimately she had probably the most important role in the film because her character represents this time period and the whole feel of this era. And her character just kind of overshadows everything that's going on. And there's also been I've seen a lot of stuff on Twitter where people are upset that they didn't get enough information about the Manson murders, and so they were a little lost at points. And that kind of confused me because the Manson murders were one of the biggest stories of the 20th century. When you think of like the biggest real life villains of the 20th century, the two that pop out to most people are Hitler and Charles Manson. And you don't need to know all the specific details of what occurred. Most people know who Charles Manson is and what he did and what he made his followers do. So I'm kind of confused as to why other people didn't get it.
Line.
And also because those murders had such a huge impact on pop culture of the time. It was the death of the hippies and that social movement of drugs and free love. And there's things with the music business that are involved, the Beatles' White Album, and he wrote a song for the Beach Boys. I mean, there's a lot of layers about how he was ingrained into the entertainment industry at that time, and that these murders just completely just blew everything apart. And if you want to know more about that, there are hundreds of documentaries that have been made about it. A dozen of them at least are on YouTube. If you just type in Manson murders, you'll get a plethora of information about what happened. And if you haven't seen this movie yet and you're not familiar with the Manson murders, do a little bit of research before you go. While I don't think it's overly important that you know every single detail about what happened, you should know the basic elements of who this person was. Because spoiler alert, Charles Manson really isn't in this film. He's in one shot, I believe. A couple, like maybe one scene, and that's it. Mostly it focuses on his followers out at the Spawn movie ranch. You see more of his effect on people than him personally. It's almost like, because you don't see Manson that much, you don't see Sharon Tate that much. They're like these two entities. One is good, one is evil. And this whole film is just trying to figure out who's going to come out on top at the end. And I really, really enjoyed this film. It's like 2.5+ hours. It did not feel that way. I wasn't bored for a second. And the filmmaker is just inviting you to just come and hang out in this time period. And the movie leaves you on a very happy note. I do want to talk a little bit about the ending, which I absolutely loved. I love when Quentin Tarantino does historical fiction and changes the events that happen, like in Inglourious Bastards, where you have them just machine gunning Hitler's face over and over again, and then everyone blows up. In this film, he does that same kind of thing where he changes history to kind of cathartically punish the evildoers, and they get very punished. That was one of the funnest sequences I've seen in quite a while. So yes, I highly recommend Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I really enjoyed it. It's very nice and refreshing to have something original and something that's one person's voice. He wrote it, he directed it, everything. It's a singular vision by one person, and that's very rare to see these days.
You're Rick fucking Dalton. Don't you forget it.
And I absolutely love Leonardo DiCaprio and Brad Pitt's chemistry. It's great. They've said that after this film they would love to team up again, and I hope they do, because they're really, really good together. They play off one another very, very well, and it's just a treat to watch.
In this town, that can all change like that.
Well, that's gonna do it for this review. Until next time, this is Lindsay signing off. I'll check you later.